Thank you, Jack. I've been sitting here singing and saying all sorts of stuff, and Jack comes in here for the win. Jack, y'all had a tough win. Well, y'all played Friday night, right? NC State on the road. In a low scoring game. If we continue down the same path as then, no. Now we can. Oh, hear me, yeah. So I just got off the Scoop on the U channel. Super nice guys. Definitely go check them out. Um, in fact, I'll drop their link in the Discord. I had not heard of them until they reached out and just said, "Hey, you want to come? You want to come talk turkey here on the YouTubes?" They're definitely a lot more professional than I'm used to. I get on here and cut wrestling promos with my shirt off, and that definitely didn't seem like that room. In fact, I thought about coming in there and just talking a bunch of trash when I knew it wasn't appropriate. What you gonna do? But no, they're super nice guys. But I mean, a short answer to the question I posed: do we have a chance Saturday? Yeah, we got a chance Saturday. And I didn't mention it while I was on, but that your biggest issue is just not getting people injured. I don't know. I mean, definitely, I hope they're overlooking us, and I do think, and it's like he said, like, you have a choice as to how you're going to respond to last week. You can roll over, and I don't think that's the mindset. And we're not going to see what that response is going to be until we get in the game Saturday, because I do think we have a good week of practice this week. Maybe we'll watch some of the player interviews. I rarely ever watch player interviews because I think they're useless. Maybe that's too strong of a word. It's just, these are young kids, and coach speak from like a 40 or 50-year-old dude is one thing. Coach speak from the players, I don't know, like it agitates me usually. But there was, some interesting things said in the player interview. I know Clayton Powell-Lee did one. I think Christian Leary. Biggest surprise being that I think it was Clayton Powell-Lee. They asked, like, well, obviously, first question is going to be, what does this coaching change at DC look like, basically, for you? And his response was, same people, different seats, which kind of seems like it was useless to make the change then. Like, if you're going to make a change at DC, you think they're going to change more than just seats. And I wish I would have said it in the video today, but like, just to give you an idea of how weird that is, just think of your job at work and your boss. And now I want you to think if you were promoted to your boss's position and he was demoted to a position subservient to even what you were before you took the boss's job. It's a weird dynamic. I did say in the video today, like, if there was any way to not do that, then I would not have. Like, I feel like either you need to fire the guy or you've got to give him the rest of the season. There's a reason this option isn't exercised often. Thanks, Face Zach for the $2 super chat says yes. Powell-Lee made Brent Key look like an idiot. Well, he was asked that question by Ken Segura, so I guess now it's kind of, he doubly has egg on his face, because it's like, he was basically asked, man, doesn't it look horrible that you gave this guy your bill of confidence, retained him on staff. Like, if you were going to make a change at DC, it would have made way more sense to do it while in the off season when you were making massive staff changes. And by the way, I agree with retaining Thacker. A lot of people now coming out of the woodwork saying, well, I always knew Thacker was garbage. They should have fired Thacker then. That wasn't the mood last year. Just think back to North Carolina. New King God, Miami man, says, what's your prediction for this week's game score? I was, New King God, I think you just came in. I dropped a link to the Scoop and the U, YouTube podcast. I just did, I don't know what you call it, like a little interview with them. I gave a score prediction on there. I think I said 38-17. Miami would be my prediction. I imagine it will end up much like the Ole Miss game did, and I said this on their channel, where we hang with Miami for a while. We're within a score, like maybe early in the third, and then Miami just starts pulling away. So I would think it ends up a lot like that. I just think Miami, talent-wise, Miami's a very talented team. They've got 4 running backs on their roster that are all very good, especially number 21 Parrish. And I'm really impressed, even though he's 4 on their depth chart, with number 4 Chaney. Chaney is, to me, kind of like P.J. Daniels was for Georgia Tech back in the day. Just a bruising back that can get you tough yardage. They got 3 wide receivers that are all very, very good. Their offensive line is very, very good. And I just think that that's going to start showing. Chaney is running back too. Well, he's listed, Slim, as the depth chart I looked at. And for whatever reason, I couldn't find a depth chart on like Miami's athletic site. Chaney was listed as 4 on your depth chart. So that makes sense to me. He's definitely the second most talented running back on your roster. 100%. Dude, what? $5. Appreciate it, Face Zach. $5 super chat from Face Zach. What is a DB saying that coaching change does not make any difference? That's not what he said, by the way. I don't want to put words in his mouth. That shows that Key and the players are not on the same page. I think this is why I hate player interviews, because, I mean, guys, like, I couldn't articulate what I really wanted to say when I was 18, 19 years old. Ask any girl I ever tried to ask on a date. It went horribly. I think you're pretty. What? I said I think you're shitty. Good night. That's not what I meant. I'm sorry. Let me try that again. I think he was really just trying – the message Powell Lee was trying to convey was like, there isn't going to be a hiccup in the defense, or there's going to be an improvement. Slum says Chaney and Parrish have gotten the bulk of the carries. Okay, well, that makes sense. Miami's got a lot of things going on. Good for them. You bet Thacker will try to sabotage the game. Come on, Todd. I mean, he is in a neutered position, though. I mean, he's not going to be on the field. Kevin Scherer will be on the field. So, make of that what you will. Jack says he thinks Louisville can beat Notre Dame. I agree. Now, Notre Dame, you'd have to upset them to do that, obviously. But do you have the ability and the talent to run with Notre Dame? Yeah, I agree. You're definitely more talented if I just assigned letter grades or numerical grades 0 through 100 for each player on your roster. You'd have a better average than Duke talent-wise, for sure. So I think you can run with Notre Dame. Miami doesn't have 4 good running backs. I think they do. It's just that 2 of them are freshmen, so they play like freshmen. Fletcher Jr. and a Jay Allen are two good backs. And damn you, Fishing, for making me say anything, for continuing to say good things about Miami. Speaking of neutered, Tech neutered me. That's what happened last week. So now I don't really have a leg to stand on. Oh, does Louisville have Notre Dame this week? That must be why you said that. Let me go over to the ESPN schedule. It's sold out crowd, and I'm going. That should be a ton of fun, man. That means I'm assuming it's in Louisville. By the way, can we talk about how garbage South Bend is? Why anyone would go to South Bend, I don't know. If you notice, they moved the college football fame from South Bend to Atlanta because no one wants to go to South Bend. I don't know why anyone cares about it. Let me see. Notre. So 7:30 on ABC. Yeah, number 10 Notre Dame at number 25 Louisville. I think if I go to scores, it gives me the lines too. It does. That's what I was doing wrong. So Notre Dame is a 6.5 point favorite against Louisville. And the over-under is 54. And I'll be honest with you, after both of those teams' recent games, I would be tempted to take the under. So I don't know. B. Bean says, what the WreckTalk? Don't you ever use my name in vain. I'll come find you. I don't know where you are, but I assume it's in Florida. So you're lucky because I'm never going to Florida. Face Zach with the $5 super chat says, he said there's not really a difference, same people, different chairs. Maybe I'm lost, but isn't that implying the coaching change doesn't matter? It kind of depends on how you want to interpret it. I just don't want to put words in Clayton Powell-Lee's mouth. Like, I don't want to come out and say Clayton Powell-Lee saying that this coaching change is meaningless because he didn't say that. Can we read into it and come to that conclusion? 100%. Again, this is why I don't like player interviews. Let's go back. In fact, let's just go to the press conference. Let's see exactly what the guy said. I could never find you, B-Bean. This, let me be honest with you. This is what's absolutely terrifying about the internet, is that if someone is just hell-bent enough to find out who you are and where you are, they can find that out. It keeps me awake every night. It's like Shawshank Redemption's time and pressure. That's really all it takes. Let me switch screens here. Oh, I can't do. I have to do it like this. Hit my ugly mug on there. That's what I look like after the Bowling Green game. Slim says I'm easy to find. Slim, yeah, that's because Slim tells everyone where to find them. That would be why Slim's easy to find. Just ask that Boogie guy. By the way, if you guys don't follow other college football YouTubers, you really should. I do my best, but sometimes I can't hold a candle to some of these other guys. And one guy I could never hold a candle to is Carolina Jackpot. BVD, who's Big Vol Daddy, a Tennessee guy, how do I guess I even have to go back further. There's a Talkin' Vols channel with a guy that goes by Boogie, I guess, and him and a South Carolina guy, Carolina Jackpot, have had a feud. And BVD got them both on the same panel. And it seemed like this beef between these two guys were squashed. And then Slim's was in the chat. So I almost feel like Slim's thought process was, I'll get Boogie so mad at me, he'll like Jackpot. But then Jackpot put out a video and was like, F you, nothing squash. So, you know, it is what it is. What's going on, TK? College football beefs are great content. Yeah, that Boogie guy, man, I'll say this. When you come out and you say, you talk about your W-2s and your accountant, the context doesn't really matter because that's all people are going to hear. It's not a good look. Why was King fist pumping after the Bowling Green presser? I don't know. I haven't watched the whole thing yet. Let's see here. I don't have my desktop audio up.
Coach talked about, after he made his decision on the
By the way, someone interviewed this guy on this very channel. I'm not going to say who because I'm humble like that.
Coaching changes, he came in by himself to meet with the team. What was the reaction, your reaction and the reaction of your teammates, after he broke the news to you?
No real reaction out of me. Me personally, it's really nothing big of a change for us. It's just same people, different chairs, and a different person presenting whatever the install may be that day or that week.
So really no change. This is what he said. Really no change. Basically different people in different chairs. WreckTalk is humble. Stop the cap. That's right. I am humble. Just ask anyone I've ever told that, and they'll tell you the same thing. TK says her internet is a piece of shit. Well, I do feel for you, but that's one L Rec hasn't taken yet. John Burns says he also hates player pressers. Yeah, it's just like, we just got to play better. We got to play better in all phases of the game. That's something that comes up in every press conference, by the way. And I think it's as dumb as the beginning of every fourth quarter for like the past however many decades, all the players hold up four fingers. And they're like, see, we know what quarter it is. It's the fourth quarter. In case anyone's not clear, fourth quarter. I think it's equally as redundant to say that you have to play congrats. Thanks, DK. I needed that. I hope your internet improves. It is frustrating having bad internet, especially if you don't. Like all these internet companies it's an oligarchy, so you generally have one or two choices. And unless you're willing to move, there's nothing you can do about that, which is not fun. But in press conferences, coaches and players alike, we got to play better in all three phases of the game. We got to play well in all three phases of the game. It's like, yeah, that's kind of why. That's kind of how you win football games. The goal is to play well every play that you have players out there.
But really for us, it's just same standard. We're going to keep holding the high standard of playing fast, playing physical, making plays, eliminating explosive. So for us, it's nothing really different, just same people, different chairs.
Chad?
Yeah, it's not a good look. Because then it's just like, there really wasn't a point in making the change. Sunbeam Gaming asked, do we have a chance? Right? Yeah, we have a chance. We definitely have a chance. That's what I was saying on the Scoop U channel, Miami channel, is like, Tech's not untalented, and that's why this is so frustrating. And Tech has shown signs of, like, you can see glimpses of a really good football team in there. We just go through such great pains to hide it sometimes. I don't know why we do that. Keith thinks the DC will have a better chance at reading game while it's in progress. I don't know. I had to buy a new modem, but you spelled it modern to upgrade to DOCSIS 3.1. Now you're speaking my language. What were you on, GPON? talking to an expert.
When you assess that film from Saturday, I mean, what went wrong? What was the big disappointment in your eyes?
A lot of mistakes through all three phases of ball, honestly.
All three phases. Yep. I would agree with that. There were a lot of mistakes made in every phase of the game.
From special teams to defense to offense, and we can't have days like that in games that are, I would say, crucial to later on in the season, I would say, when you need those games that you should have won back in October now. But, like, you need those games, honestly, and we really, throughout this week, we really upped up.
I disagree with that, though, Todd. Clayton Powell-Lee is a good player, though I don't know why our defensive backs have not played well. Like, I don't generally say a kid doesn't need to play, period, but especially based off what they say. I mean, these are young kids. Like, if you put 18-year-old, 19-year-old Wreck in this situation, I'm also going to say things that can easily be taken the wrong way or don't make much sense.
Up the intensity and aggression in practice, a lot of good on good, and a lot of film watching, honestly, because we have a good opponent coming up this week, and we want to be the best prepared. And I feel like this week is a great week to show the world that, hey, that's not us. Let's just get back to what we used to do, and let's just keep on rolling.
By the way, if you'd like to become a member of the channel, I did a complete breakdown just like this of the Brent Key press conference that was that preceded this. So there's a lot of cool stuff and great benefits to being a member. What's wrong with honesty? Let him finish. What are you talking about? But this isn't like I'm not talking to him. I'm not cutting him off.
Coach Key talked about this, and it's been sort of a common theme. You guys have not played for like solid quarters across a whole game yet.
Yeah.
As a defense and offensively probably as well. Just what do you have to do to play those 4 solid quarters instead of having lulls or lapses or whatever's going on in the game?
Staying mentally focused throughout the game, because a lot of things take place in the game, so you have to always be mentally sharp and mentally prepared for really anything that can happen. And also trusting your peers. We have trust, but you got to take that trust to another level with it. Like, just trusting that your counterpart is going to be there to make those plays. Even though you still got to rally to the ball or still got to do your job, you got to trust your teammates and also do your job as well to the full extent, to where everybody's on the same accord, everybody's making their plays, making their calls, making their reads, and everything just going smoothly.
Yeah, C-Dog has talked a lot about this, and we've talked a lot about it. Kind of like this... I usually don't buy into like mindset stuff because it's usually associated with a bunch of scammy nonsense, and I just am not a proponent of like if you think it, so it will be. But I do think there's a little bit mentally a monkey on our back with like, oh man, this thing has come out from under us, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Rod.
The defense was on the field, I think, for 42 minutes in the game against Bowling Green. Did you feel the effects of that, or do you feel you were conditioned well enough where it really didn't matter in how you played?
Honestly, if you're going to be honest, it most definitely takes a part being on the field.
If you're going to be honest, being on the field for 42 minutes is awful. Yes, we were definitely gassed. But here's the thing. They were on the field 42 minutes because Bowling Green sustained drives. You know, it wasn't like, I mean, obviously our offense didn't play well at all, minus the first 2 possessions. But we weren't able to stop them, which means that they stayed on the field for a really long time.
41 minutes most definitely takes a part in execution, but that's not an excuse on not executing, I would say. You just got to keep on going. We practice in the blazing sun, so there's no real difference as far as temperature-wise, but you still have to be mentally prepared and mentally focused for those games. Like, offense not on the field as much, we got to buckle down and just keep on playing. Like, when offense isn't as fired up as they are, we got to fire them up. We got to change the tempo, and we got to change the the balance scale, I would say, and just get our offense hyped up to where they can make those plays and we can make our plays still. So it takes a part, but that's not an excuse on not executing.
Todd, I agree. We need to cut every player. That is the solution. Just everyone. And I don't know who we're gonna play. What 22 players we're gonna find, since we would have given them all their walking papers, but this seems reasonable.
So you've been watching a lot of film. What's your impressions of Miami's offense?
Good players, I would say. Good players have a good quarterback, so real emphasis on what he's capable of, and they have some good outside dudes that can make plays, and a good slot dude and a good running back. So really it's nothing that we haven't seen. We've played against teams that have had good weapons all across the board, and we've come out on top. So it's just another game for us, and just sticking to our game plan and just sticking to what we know is best, playing fast, playing physical, eliminating explosive. And I feel like we do that, we'll have a good time on Saturday.
Only Colorado has the courage to fire every player. Yeah, that's what Deion did when he got there. He's like, you need to hit the transfer portal because you suck. That's what Deion did. Key should have walked into this presser and escorted him out of the building. By the way, like, Todd, I think you're being really hard on Clayton Powell-Lee. But is this a requirement? Because every team does this. So I almost feel like this is some sort of requirement that you do these player interviews. No smoke, too. Your offensive turnaround has been impressive. Been a long turnaround from option, but you guys finally made it. Think it will be a high-scoring game. It's a sponsorships thing. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's fine. I will say this. If Tech does win this game or is really competitive in it, I would say it's a high-scoring game. Yeah. I would agree with that. Oh, you reminded me what I was going to say. Yeah, as far as coming out on top, yeah, we beat Wake Forest and South Carolina State. So, hasn't been a lot of coming out on top.
They have a quarterback who's been similar to Haynes, throwing for a lot of yards, not turning the ball over too much. What can you do?
I said 38-17 was my score prediction. Miami wins 38-17.
In terms of the secondary, or has it, I guess, change your approach when a guy is not making those mistakes in terms of coverage?
Just glove the receivers. You glove the receivers, knowing to throw to, you get PBUs and you get tips and overthrows, and as we say, you got to get those. So as far as secondary and practice, we're really emphasizing on pass breakups and really just being disruptive to the receiver, disrupting their releases, disrupting timing, because all it is just timing. So you disrupt that, then the quarterback's off. And if you
now, I am going to, because I think this is a good exercise, and because I am so humble, that I give, like, this would be my game plan coming into the game. If I was Georgia Tech's DC, if they demoted Thacker and promoted WreckTalk to DC, what I would do, and so forth.
Disrupt the quarterback, you get those plays, you get those interceptions, you get those PBUs, and then you get off the field eventually. So that's really the big emphasis as far as our secondary this week.
I didn't realize, I guess there's a short, there's an acronym for pass breakup. I hadn't heard that. PBUs. So I learned something tonight. You guys have good passing offense. Kane's only weakness is on paper is pass defense. Yeah, you're getting your best defensive back for this game. I think he's been hurt. Could be a matchup with your strength versus our weakness. Yeah, when I was on the other show with the Miami guys, that's what I said. If Tech is going to do something against Miami, it's probably going to be throwing the ball deep, which has really been what they've been really good at this year.
You mentioned a need to be mentally focused to fix some of those lapses during the game. Has there been an emphasis on mindset this week?
Big emphasis. So Coach Key has put us in tough situations to where we'll be tired. Like at the end of the practice, you're tired, and whatever the case may be. But he'll add on another period. Competition right now. So when you hear competition, you're like, okay, I get back in that mindset. I get back and ready to play ball because at the end of the day, it's a physical game. And if you're tired, you still got to be mentally there because most of the game is mental over physical.
I love that, by the way. Like, I love doing everything you can in practice to prepare you for these types of things. So what he's saying is, like, you think that practice is over, and then Key comes out and says, no, we're doing another period. It makes me think, if you ever seen Band of Brothers, where Band of Brothers was about, like, the first airborne people in World War II. They actually trained Camp Toccoa, Georgia. And he gave them all spaghetti. It was like, eat up. And then they had to run up Mount Currahee. 3 up, 3 down.
Rob.
Coach Key talks a lot about mental toughness. As a player, what goes into developing that mental toughness?
Just allowing to be coached and taking those mental tough times as lessons, learning from those lessons, because really when you go through those times, it's going to build character and it's going to build that toughness in you.
I'll tell you the other thing that irritates me is how much adversity is talked about, like in press conferences. So like, oh yeah, you know, we had to overcome a lot of adversity, or we got to learn how to overcome adversity. And it's like, every football game is riddled with adversity. Like, there's not a game that you go through that everything goes your way. Ergo, there's some adversity to be overcome. Rec, do you like Kelly? I know everyone's on Bryce's Discord doesn't like him. I mean, I don't have anything against Kelly Quinlan, to be honest with you. He's never done anything to me personally. The only thing I don't like about Kelly Quinlan, well, there's 2 things I don't like about Kelly Quinlan. One is that he wears like a Boston Red Sox hat in some of his live streams he does, which is complete potato behavior. I don't know why anyone would want to represent the city of Boston for anything. And then I guess on a more serious note, and it's what Bryce got. I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know. On the little spat on Twitter where the PFF grades, Quinlan was kind of presenting it like he has some partnership with them, or like he represents that company somehow, which is dishonest, and I think is kind of, I don't know why he did that, other than it benefits him to advertise himself like that. Fazak with a $5 super chat. Lee says Thacker was involved with safety a lot, and now he's more involved. So maybe he meant there's not a difference in what Thacker is doing. That could be the case. So I guess Thacker is, like, every coordinator has a position group that they're kind of more acquainted with, or they're an expert in, or they coached that position group before they were promoted. I guess that's the secondary for Thacker, if I had to guess. But that's a good point, Fazak. So maybe that, if that benefits our secondary, then I'm all for it. Brennan says he starts every question with, yeah, I'm just curious about, which is kind of annoying to me. Yeah, I mean, like I said, aside from that, you know, kind of acting like he had some inside track on the PFF stuff, I don't really have anything against Kelly Quinlan. Now, I will say this. I do think it's hilarious that there's this, like, wrestling, like, Macho Man Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan rivalry between the two. That I do think's hilarious.
To where I've been through this before in practice. This is nothing. In the game, change a field. All right, let's just go out there and play. Like, there's no big difference. Just it takes within, I would say. It takes within to be mentally tough, and I feel like me and my teammates all have that mental toughness to where we can go out, no matter the circumstance, no matter the situation, we can go out there and play a full 4 quarters of football.
Anything else? Kelly, if you want to wrap this up.
Here you go, Brendan. This is a question from Kelly Quinlan.
Sure. I guess what has it been like? You are working a little more hands-on with Coach Thacker this week now with his different role. Just what has that been like?
It's funny because he actually, and when he was the DC, he was actually working with the safeties and nickels and us corners. So it's
Okay, that's what you were saying, Face Zach. So I guess his expertise is more so with the secondary.
nothing really different because he was always in the room with us, but he's emphasizing more things now, like, because at first he was having to go over the linebacker stuff, the D-line stuff. Now he's emphasizing the safeties and the nickels to where he's able to use his strengths even more, honestly, because he's a super smart guy. He teaches us everything, and we're well prepared, and I thought we'll be even more prepared.
So I should have done this to start things off. Why is this like, okay, there we go. I want to do a poll. We didn't lose to Ball State. We lost to Bowling Green. Is promoting Scherer the right move for Tech? Be interested to see what you guys think about that.
Just because he's able to focus on the secondary as a whole.
Awesome. Thank you, Clayton. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Offensively, you guys are getting stuck a little bit.
I think that's Christian Leary. I already listened to that. I actually want to hear Hank because I don't think there was a lot said with Leary.
Miami's defense, they're an awfully. Haynes, just your thoughts on Miami's defense. They're an awfully tough unit.
Oh, no doubt. They're well coached. They're going to blitz. They're going to play well up front, and they're going to pursue the ball, play with physicality, and they're going to play fast. They're a well-coached football team. That's as simple as you can put it right there.
Next, Kelly.
Offensively, you guys have moved the ball consistently throughout the season, but there have been these lulls. Kind of what are this, I guess, something we keep talking about, but just how do you guys keep maybe finding those middle downs, the middle parts of the game, being more consistent?
It's a good question. That's a good question. I would like to hear, how do you play more consistently?
I mean, that's our main focus in practice this week, and really these past couple weeks. We can't have those lows anymore, and we've been working extremely hard, just like keeping the foot on the gas pedal, not letting up just because we're going to like an individual drill or something. You know, let your mind. You're kind of doing the reps, but not locked in all the way. Hey, we're dead serious right now. We're trying to change something, and I feel like everybody's ready to get that stuff done.
And by the way, I stop a lot because if I just let this play through, let's say for like 5 minutes, I hope you can see where that's kind of me stealing content from Georgia Tech, right? Then I'm just kind of playing the interview and I'm getting credit for it, right? So that's why I stop and start a lot on the interviews, on the interviews that I react to.
Rod.
You've had some injuries at the receiver position, and it's given you a chance to throw to some other guys that you maybe normally wouldn't have. You got Blaylock back last week, and what would it mean to the receiver group and to you if you were able to get Lane back?
It would mean a lot. I mean, that's a guy that has a lot of experience, very smart, very savvy, consistent. I mean, it just means a lot. But at the end of the day, one person gets hurt, next person has to step up, be ready to play. But like as you'd say, it added a lot more depth to the receiver core. But other than that, I feel like all of them are ready to play. You know.
Yeah, let me close the poll. I'd agree with that. That's also what was frustrating with Bowling Green is I do think that we have a really talented wide receiver core. Is promoting share the right move for Tech? So it seems pretty split, 60-40. Seems like most people think that promoting share is the right decision here, but definitely almost split down the middle. Faceac, the $2 super chat says, in a reaction, we want input, don't have to explain. Yeah, that's all. That's all I'm saying.
Chad?
I imagine you studied these guys last year a little bit, right?
A little bit.
Yeah, does that help you at all this week?
You know what? I forgot. I didn't even think about this, but he played them when he was at Texas A&M and beat Miami when he was at Texas A&M, right? I think it's hard to say because he's been hurt so much if he started in that game or not, but it sounds like he did.
This week?
More of the personnel, different DC. But, I mean, they got a couple guys back, a couple transfers here and there. But, I mean, I'd just say probably the personnel, how they play, how physical they are, how fast they are, how they pursue the ball, stuff like that. But other than that, that's what it is.
Yeah, so okay, so he didn't play, so I guess he has prepped for them before. Now, they are a much improved team from the last time he played them, obviously. Stan Garner, member of the channel, asks, what are the chances that Thacker being demoted is just a show for the boosters to see that Key is doing something tangible to address the defensive problems? It's a good question, and my intuition says Key is not a guy that is going to be a puppet for boosters and just do something that he doesn't believe in solely because he has pressure to do it. That's what my intuition says. The evidence, though, seems to work against that because you have your best defensive showing against Wake Forest, 8 sacks, right? 5 turnovers. And then you lay an egg against Bowling Green and make a change. So I still have to believe that Key did this at least in some part. And honestly, mostly because he believes it's the right move to make. Now, it could kind of both things could be true, right? It could be that he thinks that this is the right choice to be made and he had pressure from boosters and administration to make a change as well. In fact, I think that's probably the most likely outcome.
How important do you think mindset is to preventing those lulls, especially coming out of the half?
A lot of mindset questions. I feel like I'm at a Tony Robbins seminar. If you think it, so shall it be.
I wouldn't necessarily say mindset is almost like holding each other accountable. The closer you are with people, the more you're going to be able to know if they're BSing and not going full speed or playing the way they're capable of playing. So I think it's more of that more than mindset, because every now and then, like, you're going to have a day, I feel sick, I'm tired. But that man next to me, he's not going to let you lay down and like, hey, I'm going to just go 3 plays. No, you got to finish. Like, let's go. You got to bow your neck. Let's go finish. I feel like that's where it is. Being able to hold each other accountable, closer you are, and I feel like we're getting there as a team. We're challenging each other. Just like in practice, we're having these competition periods where we're getting after good on good. And it ain't no easy period. It's getting after it the whole time. And a couple guys, they'd be tired today. And
I'm glad to hear that. So it sounds like practice is definitely more intense. Tantor just dropped a video. We might have to go look at that too. Someone left a comment, though, that made me real question. If we lose to Miami and Boston College and our defense looks worse, that's right. What happens then? Brent Key will have the whole egg carton on his face then. And I said this in the members only reaction video I did of Key's press conference. But if you're going to make a move like this mid-season and not fire Thacker, right, just to demote and promote, damn it, it better work out. It better work out, or it's going to look absolutely awful. Maybe Key has been waiting Scherer as DC for a while. The thing is, though, then he would have just fired Thacker in the offseason when he hired Scherer. Yeah, you're right, Faizak. Then what are you going to do? What if it looks like Scherer isn't the guy? Yeah, you can't promote Thacker back to DC. What are you going to do then? Promote Tillman to DC? Or Coleman? None of those guys have anywhere near the experience to be a DC, I don't think. Big difference in the leadership qualities of King compared to Sims. Really like King. Yeah, King speaks well, and I agree with what someone else said. You can tell his dad's a coach. He does a nice job of verbalizing things well. I definitely agree with all that.
Coach Key, he wouldn't let him come out. He's like, no, you're staying in.
1 second.
Like, let's go. We're finding out about each other right now. So I feel like that's pretty good.
I know you're new to the program, but obviously in terms of that leadership piece, being the starting quarterback, do you feel like you have to be maybe a little more vocal now after kind of seeing some inconsistencies and trying to kind of bring that leadership maybe even on both sides of the ball to the program?
Most likely, yes. And then the other part is just letting them know, because sometimes you just got to change your kind of like attitude, behavior towards them. So like it's.
He didn't want to say mindset. He was looking for another word other than mindset to say there. This is something else I've thought about, and it's like there's so many. Like I feel like I'm playing a game of chess, like blindfolded chess, because I've also thought like, and I talked to C-Dog today on the phone, how much of that Collins way of doing things is still in some of this team. And this isn't me, like, don't think I'm blaming Collins for what happened at Bowling Green. I'm not. Jeff Collins isn't the coach anymore. I do wonder, though, if some of that still exists. But then I'm like, then how do you explain when Key took over as the interim and everyone played infinitely better, and Keon White and Ace Ely and Charlie Thomas played their brains out, and then Zach Pyron came in and looked really good. Like, they all played for Collins for like their whole football careers. But then, like, is that what everyone's talking about with the interim bump? Like, I don't know. Like, I can't compute. I can't make sense of it. If Scherer does worse than Thacker, you would throw away the whole season and start all over. And hope you don't get fired from your head coach position. Well, unless, like, Brent Key does something off the field, he's not getting fired this year or next year, for that matter. So we can put that to bed. The real tragedy with that is if Scherer doesn't work out, then you're in the position of having to fire two coaches, Thacker and Scherer, and make, like, no mistake, I'm sure Thacker is getting his resume out right now. Because think about it, if you were the boss and you were demoted and you're having to take orders from people that were your subordinates, you'd be on LinkedIn that day. No one would want to stay in that.
Like, hey, come on, like, you got to know that, or you run the right. Come on, we're going to get it next time. Now it's probably you got to drop the hammer a little bit. Where it's like, hey, we're not having that no more. That's unacceptable. We got to lock in. You got to do better. Let's go. We're going to figure it out. Let's go. Kind of set that tone, change the tone a little bit more than just being vocal, because sometimes you're just being vocal, you're almost speaking without a message. Sometimes the tone of what you're saying can change, and that can get that message across better than what's been going on, you know. That's probably the only thing right there.
Yeah, and I see what you're saying, Tilo. Bring Coach Boogie back. That's the other thing is, like, how detrimental was the loss of Coach Seymour last year? Because Maryland is doing well on defense. I think they're top 40 defense right now. They're like 30-something. And with how – this is the question you're really asking. What more explains – the drop-off in linebacker play from last year to this year? Is it the loss of Coach Seymour, or is it the loss of Ace Ely and Charlie Thomas? And I don't know. Like, I could see it either way. I could see a good coach losing those two players and doing worse. He's the defensive coordinator at Marshall, Coach Seymour is. And then I could also see Coach Seymour just being that good, you know, of a coach. I mean, he got a defensive coordinator position, Power 5, or not Power 5, but Division I for a reason, right? Like, God knows what he's doing. Yeah, it could be a mix of both. In fact, I mean, it's almost certainly a mix of both. But really, I was asking, like, which is more to blame, right? Trying to get at kind of the heart of the problem. That I'm not clear on.
Anything else?
You mentioned those tough competition periods. Do you think the team's approach toward those has changed throughout the season?
Not necessarily. I think it's just, well, a little bit more close, more lately than they have at the beginning, because at first it was just team periods, but now, hey, offense loses, you got up downs, or hey, you got a gasser, or stuff like that. So you're putting something on it where it's like, hey, I'm not.
Is he's right-handed. Is his thumb bruised, or does he have like some kind of polish on his thumb?
Or stuff like that. So you're putting something.
Yeah, it looks like he's got I don't know if he got his finger jammed or something. He had a bruise on his non-throwing thumb.
On it where it's like, hey, I'm not going to be the one getting caught doing up downs or doing gassers, you know. That'd be that thing. Just been able to compete. Everybody hyped up, excited. Who's going to be more consistent? Who's going to execute the best? Who's going to play faster? That's what it comes down to.
Okay. Anything else for Haynes? Haynes, thanks, bud.
I love that too. That's kind of was one of my initial responses after the Bowling Green is like, all right, we're gonna no pads. We're just gonna figure out who wants it more. I do love the competition of good on good, offensive number ones versus defensive number ones. Whoever loses is doing suicide drills, 100 yards in, and whoever wins gets to go to the air conditioned dorm. I'm all about that. How long is Tantor's video? Hold on, is this no views? Well, let's change that. How long is it? 10 minutes. All right, we can do that, and then we'll probably end the show after that because I am freaking tired. Do you think they would be doing up downs when Jeff was the coach? Yeah, if by up downs you mean ice cream cones to the lip, then yeah. Depends on what you mean by up downs. If you mean pool noodle in the air to the ground, then yeah, they did up downs when Collins was there. Don't forget O'Leary changed DC at least 3 times. Is that true? That's interesting because O'Leary was the DC before he was head coach. Did you notice the number of players in sweatpants on the sideline? Did we rest any starters for the game? I sit in the front row and it seemed odd to me. No, I think – I don't know. I think we have more players injured than we're letting on. Real question, is Haynes King the real question is, Haynes King has a max, 3 years left maybe. What's our record with him as a senior, assuming he stays? Man, there's no way I could even make a prediction on that. If we continue to improve, because look, guys, here's the other thing. Making a bowl is going to be very difficult. I feel like in some sense now we're playing for recruiting. Yeah, like I said this on the last live show, I think. If you just completely roll over and you only end up winning 1 or 2 more games, then it's going to kill recruiting for this cycle. But if you can get something together, steal a win get an upset win, get 3 or 4 more wins, get yourself in bowling position or very close to it, then you can give a pitch to a recruit that's like, hey, you're the piece that puts this team over the hump, right? And if you come here, you're the guy, right? Like C.J. Jackson will play next year. C.J. Jackson could start next year. If you're a really good linebacker, please hit us up, You can't really do that, though, if you just lay an egg for an entire rest of the season. You say, I think we should be 8 or 9 wins in year 3. I mean, I hope so, man. All right, let's see what we got.
Going to travel to my.
Why is this showing? Oh, I guess because it's
All right,
a preview. He hasn't responded to me, by the way.
Tantor here. Due to popular demand, I'm going to do a preview of Georgia Tech Miami game for this Saturday. Normally, I do some film work on the upcoming.
Me too. Tantor's probably better, though. I don't want to admit it.
Georgia Tech opponent. I don't do a preview of it because I'm using the information for my own investment purposes. So far, so good this season. I've had it working for me.
By the way, go subscribe to Coach and Crew Show if you're not. Tantor is a Georgia Tech national or Georgia Tech treasure, and he is awesome. I really didn't make the last time I reacted to him to turn into a Rec doesn't like Tantor thing. That wasn't at all how I feel.
Right now I'm in Braves mode. I've got a future on the Braves winning the World Series that's going to pay out pretty nicely.
No. Tantor doesn't listen to WreckTalk. Never, ever, ever make a futures bet, man. Never.
If the Bravos can seal the deal here. So definitely Atlanta homer and go Bravos. All right.
So I guess he made a futures bet for them to make the postseason. Usually a futures bet is like this team's going to win it all, like national championship, World Series or whatever.
So Georgia Tech, it's not we're not fanboy. It's not a favorable approach going down to Miami. We have absolutely no idea what Georgia Tech team is going to travel to Miami. Is it going to be the team that actually wanted to play football in Winston-Salem against Wake? Or was it the team that we saw last Saturday that wanted to be someplace else rather than to play a game at 3:30 Saturday afternoon against Bowling Green?
Oh, I'll tell you what else we haven't mentioned. And by the way, I absolutely agree. That's what's terrifying about me being on YouTube and why I haven't really done any semblance of trash talk. I also have no idea who's going to show up Saturday. But Miami is wearing those Ghost uniforms, like the Miami version of the Ghost uniforms we wore against Bowling Green. And what my prayer and hope is that those jerseys are cursed somehow. Kind of like the house in Poltergeist was cursed. Instead of bodies flying out of the ground and terrorizing people, I hope it's Miami players hitting the ground because we tackled them.
I'm still salty about that. It was just a disgusting display. So it's kind of hard to give these players that absolutely have no desire to play football for the Institute the benefit of a doubt. But we'll go in with Miami. All right. Miami, what stands out to me, quite frankly, is their quarterback and their 3 wide receivers. Yep. Van Dyke is fantastic. Now, granted, Miami hasn't played anybody with the exception of Texas A&M, and they beat them pretty handily. And they played a team on our level, Temple, and they did beat Temple. So I watched both of those games.
Damn you, Tantor, for saying that. Tantor just dunked on Tech and said we're Temple, which hurts especially bad, him saying that, seeing as how that's where Jeff Collins came from.
There. I didn't watch the 2 cupcake wins, but Temple, they crushed. Temple's about on our level talent-wise.
I'll be honest with you, I don't agree with that. I don't, like, did we get beat by Bowling Green because there was a talent issue? No, and I do think we're more talented than Temple.
Texas A&M, they beat Texas A&M, but Texas A&M exposed some things. But Van Dyke, the quarterback for Miami, is sensational. He's got a QBR rating of 92.3, and he was tremendous against A&M. He had 5 TD passes, and he is throwing to 3 guys that have a chance of playing on Sundays in a few years.
That's true. They have 3 wide receivers that are NFL talent wide receivers. And Van Dyke, he is right, has looked very good. Especially, which is terrifying, under pressure, he's looked good.
We're going to see them because they are going to torch our kids. Young, George, and Restrepo, all 3 of them are just tremendous. If I worked in the Falcons general manager office, I would be watching this Miami team because I would take any of those 3 kids on the.
All right, Tantor. Jesus Christ, dude. I mean, can you fellatiate Miami enough? Well, get it.
Falcons right this second. They can all play. I can't say enough good things about them, and I absolutely despise Miami and saying good things about Miami.
Well, you could have fooled me. No, I know what he's saying. He's saying there's really talented. I get it.
Miami just makes me ill. Next thing you know, I'll be saying good things about that UGA team.
I don't know if I can watch the rest of the video. He's thinking about saying. I mean, think of where we are. We looked so bad last week that Tantor is thinking about saying good things about UGA.
Up in Athens, and that shit's not going to happen either.
Got Tantor to cuss. What's
all
not
right?
Gonna
So
happen, by the way?
Up in Athens. Next thing you know, I'll be saying good things about that UGA team up in Athens, and that shit's not going to happen either.
All right.
So
He's forgiven.
we've established that Miami, their passing game is tremendous. They've got a good offensive line. They got running backs. They pass to set up the run. It's gonna be a long afternoon. If I was Miami, I'd pass until I don't have to anymore. And these guys.
If I was Miami, I would run, and throw a bunch of crossing routes and not throw downfield because I don't think they have to unless we show that we can prevent that. I mean, why take risks downfield? Why throw the ball? Would most likely you can just run on Tech.
They can run, they can catch. 2 of them are big body receivers. 2 of them have huge speed. Another guy's a real good route runner. It's going to be ugly. Because the weakest spot on Georgia Tech's team is the secondary and the linebackers. And I just don't see Georgia Tech's secondary being able to cover anything with Miami's passing game at all, period.
Yeah, in fact, what Miami is going to do, I talked about this on the other show I was on tonight, the Scoop on the U. Miami's going to use motion. They're going to show one set. They're going to motion 1 or 2 guys. and they're going to get advantageous matchups, probably with Paul Mola on one of those 3 really good wide receivers, and it's going to be a long day. TVD had a 40-yard run last game. Okay, Raph. How long did it take him to make that 40-yard run? Was it like 7 seconds? No, I mean, you're right, though. I mean, Van Dyke doesn't have to be that mobile when – how many sacks have y'all given up, Raph? It's 2 or 3 or 3 or 4. It's not many. It's like 1 a game at most.
Miami's going to put up 50 points, no doubt about it. So let's just get it out of our heads of it not being a high-scoring affair. Miami's going to drop 50. That's what.
This feels like the Shawshank Redemption where Red's like, hope is a dangerous thing. Hope is a dangerous thing, Andy. That's what and Tantor. That's what Tantor's saying right now. Tantor is right now Red from Shawshank Redemption, telling us hope is a dangerous thing. Just put it out of your mind, like Brooks did.
Whether Georgia Tech can score or not. You know, Miami's defense, we'll flip it over there. They run a 3-4, but they blitz a lot. They come from all different angles. They'll send 3 sometimes, drop back in 8 in zone.
To say they just run a 3-4 is a little bit disingenuous, though. They run a lot of different defensive fronts.
They'll blitz off the corners. They'll blitz up the middle. It's a good concept that they've got going on there, and I really like it. Miami is aggressive. They're fast, physical, and they're incredibly violent. We will see if our offense can match the intensity level, because if they can't, Miami's going to come out there and they're going to smack them in the face. And if our kids can't punch back, can't counterpunch, it's going to be just one freaking ugly game, just like the Temple game was against Miami, where Miami beat them 40-something to 7.
Now, I will say this. I don't think it's some foregone. Is Miami going to score points on us? Yes. But I don't necessarily think it's just a foregone conclusion they're going to drop 50 on us either. TVD really worked on his physique this offseason, lost a lot of body fat. Well, I mean, what was he, some kind of lard ass last season? Did y'all get him on the Atkins? Don't worry, honey. TVD's on the Atkins. I'm sorry. I'm just poking fun. But that's a good look from Tantor, by the way. That's what I look like at Bowling Green, at that Bowling Green game the whole time.
All right, that's what you'd be looking at, because Miami's going to come out there and just punch them in the mouth. They are very physical. They are weak on the back end, though.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. I agree they are quite aggressive, but the other advantage of their defense is they also don't have to be aggressive, because they do have the ability with just rushing 3 to affect the quarterback. So most likely, like I said, if we're going to do anything against Miami, it's going to be Haynes King to Singleton Jr. Downfield. He was too big, was slower last season. Well, how much did he weigh? I mean, was Tyler Van Dyke fatter than WreckTalk or something? How big was this joker? Miami may go for 50, to be honest. This is a big recruiting game, and a lot of recruits coming in for this game with the top wide receiver in the nation coming. You may – I'm not saying you won't score 50. Tantor was thick. That TVD thick, though, cuz. He thick, ain't he? No, I'm just saying that, Tantor just stated it like, yeah, you're definitely scoring 50 on us.
They do have one cornerback that's got 3 interceptions, but basically that's from playing zone defense and having quarterbacks run for their lives and just throwing up prayers. That's what they hope. They put a lot of pressure on the opposing quarterbacks, and I'm really worried about our offensive line. I actually like our offensive line. 12 months ago, one of the worst offensive lines in college football. They have...
Yeah, this is his first game back, though, right, New King? Cam Kitchens. I didn't say that your defensive backfield was weak. I said that's our best chance at scoring points probably or keeping pace with you, because I think your defensive front and linebackers are better. That's all I'm saying.
Have made tremendous amount of improvements. They get better every week. Now, there are things that our Tech's offensive line does well, which is straight ahead power block, and they form a nice pocket with a quarterback that'll take 3 and 5 step drops. They don't pick up the blitz very well, and that's not a good matchup against Miami's blitzing. They don't pull well, and they don't block well out in space. So as long as
Yeah, but where we don't block well in space is usually not with the offensive line. It's usually with tight ends and wide receivers. New King says he played the first 2 games, then sat last 2. James Williamson is another top safety. Yeah, no, you're talented everywhere. I mean, that's the thing. Don't think that I'm saying that you have some holes in your defense or something. I'm just saying the best chance Tech has is probably over the top, because I imagine we're going to have a lot of trouble running on you. Just because our best matchup is with your defensive backfield. Is it a good matchup? I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's the most advantageous one for us.
we don't try to do any of that stupid crap with our offense, we can do it if we run a quick game, quick throws, quick slants. Get our good wide receivers, because we have our own set of good wide receivers. The strength of our team is our wide receivers.
That's what I'm saying.
Our wide receivers, Singleton, Blaylock, if Lane can come back and play, Malik Rutherford, who I've always been high on. Those guys, get on their back and go. Let's throw. We're going to have to throw because we're not running against that Miami defense. We really aren't. I mean, we might be.
I agree. We'll probably bust a big run or two. And by big run, I mean like 15 yards or something. We are not going to be able to consistently pound the ball against Miami. Plus, I think that your offense is going to score points, and we're not going to have enough time to just run the football a lot.
Be able to power into them, but Miami's got that front seven. That front seven is superior to our line, our tight end, and our running backs. They really are. We might be able to catch them by surprise once or twice, but if we try to stretch it, Miami's too fast. They're too physical. They're going to nail us. We're going to have to throw the ball. Now, we take a look at Van Dyke with his 92.3 QB.
You know what? I'm almost thinking, because he is right. I mean, you do. One thing that's been consistent every year with Miami, even when Miami has struggled, which has really been every year up to this year, they've always had very athletic, speedy linebackers. I mean, they had one of the best linebackers to ever play in Ray Lewis. It makes me think of doing some things with Leary. Like, can we just do like a 2-back set, but one of the backs be Leary? Like, would that help get to the perimeter or something, or counteract some of their speed at linebacker? I don't know. New King says, it seems to me Haynes King gets extremely inaccurate once he starts to get pressure. Am I wrong? Kind of. Yeah, yeah, I would not agree with that. Haynes King, you would come away with that, I think, conclusion if you just watched the last game. And you might want to crucify me for saying this, but to me, as far as how well they've played at quarterback, Haynes King and TVD have really been kind of neck and neck. Like, if we would have lost, or if we wouldn't have lost to Bowling Green, and I did, like, a lot of times I'll grade position groups, or like who's better, who gets the advantage, who has the better quarterback. I would have given a push for TVD versus Haynes King.
QBR.
In other words, if you put Haynes King on the offense Miami has, I think he does really, really well.
Haynes King has a 66 QBR. So if you want to compare the two there, even though Haynes threw for a lot more passing yards than Van Dyke, Van Dyke is an NFL arm strength talent, and he's got an outside chance to play on Sundays too.
I think they're both NFL talent quarterbacks, though. Is BVD probably better? Yeah. Like if you just look at QBR and stuff, but it's hard to compare two quarterbacks that play on two different teams with, way different skill at the skill positions, right?
I think we need to throw. I think if we show up motivated to play, if we don't go running off scared, if Miami punches us in the face and we fall down and we start crying and we just beg the coach to take us out of the game and we all get on the bus, go back to the airport and fly back to Atlanta, that could happen. We saw last Saturday that could definitely happen.
Oh yeah, could we absolutely get embarrassed again? 100%. 100% we could. New King says Haynes reminds him of Jordan Travis. They seem like the same players to me. I don't know. I mean, look, I know you said that TVD's been dropping dimes. I mean, watch Haynes King this year. Haynes King's thrown some dimes, particularly the Singleton Jr. I honestly haven't watched a lot of Florida State, but yeah, I mean, you could probably say that about Jordan Travis too.
But we could score on Miami. We just need to max protect. We need to get the ball out quick. We need to match our...
I'm glad he said that too. This is something else. I wish I would have brought this up on the Miami show that I like that Miami does. And I don't know if a film breakdown, I would like for it to come out tomorrow. We'll see. Miami will sacrifice a route runner for protection. So instead of having 21 or 4, your two running backs, was that Chaney and Parrish? Instead of having them run routes, Miami will hold them in protection just to kind of guarantee, even with like a max blitz, that TVD will get the pass off, right? So that's probably something else we'll have to do as well. Like I like that they do that.
Wide receivers up with the defensive backs on Miami, and we could...
No, I didn't think you meant anything against King. No, I mean, it's kind of... We're kind of in... Like, who's better? Like, it doesn't... I don't think there's a huge discrepancy or disparity in the type of quarterback that are playing.
Throw on them. We can make something happen there. And it's going to be a high-scoring game. It should definitely be a high-scoring game. I'm definitely, Tech, they're not going to cover. So I'm looking at taking the over because I know Miami's going to put up some.
I'm not sure what he's saying by they're not going to cover. That would imply Miami's not going to cover 16 points, but he thinks they're going to score 50, which means we're going to score 34, I guess. Let me go back.
So I'm looking at taking the over because I had Tech scoring game. I'm definitely, should happen there. And it's going to be a high-scoring game. It should definitely be a high-scoring game. I'm definitely, Tech, they're not going to cover.
That doesn't really make sense. I think he means Miami will cover is what I'm sussing out of that. Tech doesn't have any points to cover. They're the ones given the points.
So I'm looking at taking the over because I know Miami's going to put up some points on this because there's absolutely no way we can cover the receivers. They're just too good of athletes. So Miami's definitely going to put up 50. I think on the outside chance, as long as Key doesn't panic and start doing the stupid stuff about going for fourth down all the time and just take your points, I think we can put up 20, have 70, and that way we cover the over-under. So that's how I'm looking at that.
Okay.
Miami's not perfect.
Raph, that was my prediction as well.
But they have the talent to challenge Florida State and UNC at the top of the ACC. And don't be surprised if they're playing in the championship game for the ACC because there's really only one weakness. But that one weakness in the secondary has to go against UNC and FSU's top talent outside. So that's not a good matchup for Miami, and that is their weakness. You got to.
It will be. It should be a hell of a game toward the end of the year in Tallahassee. I think that game's in Tallahassee. New King and Raph, right? Y'all play Florida State on the road.
Attack them going.
And then you got North Carolina after us.
Through the air. So as long as you can do that, you can make something happen. But Miami's a really good team. I'd have to say they're probably the second, third. They're right there with UNC at the top. So, and FSU I have as number one in ACC. Anyway, I just hope the kids compete. I really do. Depends upon what Key does this week. I would do nothing but tackle drills all week long.
Yeah, we have.
I wouldn't try to execute any plays in practice. I would take the jerseys off the quarterbacks because we've got 2 that can play, probably 3 that can play. And so what? One gets hurt in practice. Somebody needs to get hurt in practice. Somebody needs to actually hit.
Yeah, I would also agree with that. That is my mindset going into practice with good on good. Is I also hope someone gets hurt.
We can't be playing two-hand touch and flag football out there on Saturdays. So go out there, beat each other's brains out during the week, get nasty, and on Saturday want to hit somebody besides the guy that's your teammate and go out there and really put one on Miami. That's their only chance with this one.
Now, one thing I will say about Tantor is he does have like a nice even beard. If you'll notice with me, my mustache grows longer on one side than the other, and it grows. It's kind of like someone just threw hair at my face, and it kind of settled. So I will give Tantor the advantage there. But look, I can't disagree with most of what Tantor said there. I mean, he's right. If Tech were to win this game, it would be a massive upset. And I even said, like, I think 16 points is a little bit generous for Tech. Like, I could have seen that line being more than 20 points. KS says won't be watching if the Braves are playing in the afternoon. God forbid the Georgia Tech game is a close one too. And it's a 8:00 kick, I think, right? So I'm gonna be up late on another Saturday night. Home fields don't matter in the FSU Miami. That has been true in the past. Ref, what are you saying? He is really hurting. I know the feeling. Oh, talking about Tantor. Yeah, that's the thing. Miami kind of, I feel like, I mean, they're obviously 2 wildly different situations at the schools, but y'all know what it's like to struggle and not play to your potential for an extended amount of time, for sure. But, guys, with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up and go to bed. I appreciate y'all coming in, participating. FaceAct, thank you for all the super chats. Let me see if anyone else gave a super. Yeah, no. I want to acknowledge the super chatters. Yep, thanks for the super chats, FaceAct. Good luck to you guys. And Coral Gable Saturday. I'm sure I'll be streaming the game. I don't know if me and C-Dog, I don't know if he'll come over or what. I got to figure that out. But you guys have a good night. And if no one's told you today, WreckTalk loves you.